Hi, welcome to Flash Electrolysis. Please have a seat and we'll go through your complimentary consultation. Did you have a difficult time finding it?
No.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to talk with you about electrolysis as if you know absolutely nothing. Okay, so please forgive me if I say things that you're already aware of. There are different ways to get rid of hair, as you know. There's waxing, threading, tweezing, and sugaring. And we consider all of those methods tweezing. It doesn't matter whether you use a tweezer or implement, it's yanking the hair out of the roots. So all of those are considered tweezing. And what we tell our clients is only tweeze the hairs you want to keep because they're going to keep coming back. You're never going to get rid of them. Some people claim that they've done their eyebrows for years and they don't have any hair, and that's because they created scar tissue. So the hairs cannot go through the scar tissue anymore. And that's why some people believe just by tweezing and tweezing and tweezing, they're going to get rid of it. Also, I guess you're aware that laser has been around for about 25 years. And laser is not doable on all candidates. There's only certain people that it'll work on. You have to have very, very light skin and very dark hair. And it only works in certain areas, which is the bikini, the underarms, and the legs. Please don't ever try to do your face because you can end up having a situation where you would get really, really thick white hairs or thick dark hairs. This is a chin and these are lips here. And this person started out with finer hair and the laser actually made it really thick and white. And what happens sometimes is laser is not strong enough to take the hair out. It's only strong enough to take the pigment out. And that's why the client ended up with the big, thick white hair. It's another client that ended up hyperpigmenting. And so it's very troublesome when you hyperpigment because it's something that you're not going to ever fix. So electrolysis is nothing new. It's been around for about 140 years. It was first used by an ophthalmologist. He had a client with an ingrown eyelash, and he came up with technology using electric current. He did one application, that hair never came back. So for about 145 years, people have been using this safely. There's been no records of anyone ever getting sick over this or HIV or anything like that. So it's very safe, and it's actually beneficial because the electric current, when it goes under your skin, it kills bacteria. So it's good it's safe for just about anyone. If you're a young child, you shouldn't really come in because you're more sensitive at a younger age than when you're a little bit older. So my youngest client usually was about 14 years old. And of course you have to have a written note from the mom and all of that to approve the treatments. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the upside of electrolysis. So I have some before and after pictures here. This is client who has come in probably about two years ago. So this is right now, it's November of 2016. And this is a before picture, and this is an after picture. And this client is still not completed, so I plan to take another picture at another time down the road, and we'll see it's going to be totally clear. Here's another example. This is another client. I happened to take this picture after I worked on him for a while, and I thought, gee, I better take a picture, and so that's why it's kind of clear on the sides. And now the client has a beautiful complexion. It looks like that. When you come in for your consultation, you would have a health history assessment to fill out. There's 3 pages. And it basically is contact information and letting me know what areas of the face and body that you're interested in working on. As a matter of fact, electrolysis is safe enough to work in the eye area, so we can do eyebrows also. We can go anywhere that we can see. We have to be able to see the pores, so we can go anywhere on the face of the body. We have no limitations, but we have to see the pore in order to provide an epilation. Okay, so I know that I'm not the only electrolysis in the area, so what makes me different than the person around the corner? Well, first of all, it's the school, the modality, and the equipment. So I went to school in Santa Ana, and the director was French Canadian, and the products that they required us to use were the Epolis machinery from Canada, which actually is the top of the line. It's like the Rolls Royce of equipment, and I'm lucky enough to be using that. There's nothing that is more advanced technology than what I am using right now. So I am able to remove hair by using galvanic, the blend, or thermolysis with my equipment. So if someone comes from another part of the country, if somebody comes from another part of the country, and they require, let's say, the blend method, I am able to provide that because my machinery will allow that. In California, the technology that they promote is thermolysis, and the reason why thermolysis is the preferred method is because it's less invasive. So what I'll explain to you about what that means. So if this is the hair follicle, using thermolysis, which is high frequency and a little bit of heat, it just coagulates right here where it's required. It severs the ties. The only thing that's keeping this hair follicle alive is the blood supply. So the tie is severed and the hair will not come back if it's in the anagen stage. I'll explain that later. So it's just a high frequency and a little bit of heat. It was first used about 45 years ago. The galvanic was used 145 years ago, and it's more invasive, and the way that it destroys the hair follicle is when the water molecule in your body encounters electricity, a division is made, and one of the elements, the salt part of H2O, becomes sodium hydroxide. It forms like a pasty lye, and it goes in and it melts away everything that supports that hair. It not only melts away the connecting tissue, it also destroys the cells and the nerves, which is a little bit of an overkill. So the galvanic is direct current. If someone uses galvanic current, you have to hold on to an electrode, this electrode, which is the ground wire throughout the treatment. You have to wait for like a count of 3 before you can actually move on to the next, and it's more painful. And some electrologists choose to use that because they don't have the modern equipment to provide the thermolysis. Also, you have to have expensive eyewear and magnification and a very, very steady hand to provide this thermolysis method. I've been done from head to toe with all different methods, and they all work. So basically, the thing about the thermolysis is if you're pregnant, if you have a pacemaker, if you have an IUD, any metal implants in your body, that would be the safe method to use. So that's why I prefer thermolysis. Okay, and then lastly, let's talk about, well, we already talked about the equipment. Okay, so let me explain a little bit more about the equipment. So a lot of electrologists are still using vacuum tube machinery, which is really outdated. It's from the 1980s, and I was fortunate enough to first start out with a Senior 2. This is a Canadian machine, and it's all pre-programmed and digitized by the manufacturer. So what that means is if I were to work on your upper lip, it would tell me what the parameters are for that part of you. If I went to work on your legs, it would switch to the parameters for your leg. So I don't have to keep all of this information in my brain. I can just go right to the certain area of your body that I'm going to be treating. The older machines don't have that, so the electrologist could make an error, maybe turning it up too high. And so the safeguard was to make sure that we provided safe and gentle treatment to our clients. So this machine was the top of the line. It's 13.5 megahertz. It removes hair in 1/1000th of a second. And they came up with something twice as fast, which is the Platinum Pure, which is right here, and that's 27 megahertz. So it removes hair twice as fast as that machine. So I do have this one still. It's my backup in case something happens here. So I'm trying to be prepared for everything. Okay, any questions so far?
No, this is very good.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how this all works. And by the way, I do have a little demonstration video on my website also. So it's under the treatment tab. So this red would be the probe and the black would be the hair. And what we do is we step on a little pedal, apply a little bit of current, and then we take the tweezer and we grab the hair and glide it out. We're not tweezing the hair out. So I wanted to show you what a probe looks like. This is a probe. I don't know if you can see this, but anyway, it's just this itty bitty wire at the end.
It's very small.
Very, very small. And I use insulated probes because they do less surface damage to the epidermis. So you can see how tiny that is. So imagine that this pen is the probe, just the wire, the probe. So it's not this needle. This much of that would go into your pore, that's all. So let's talk a little bit about the hair follicle. This is very important for you as a consumer. So there are three different types of hairs. There's an anagen, a catagen, and a telogen hair. And they're on our face and our body at all times. This hair is the active hair. This is in the resting stage, and this is in the shedding stage. So what happens is, this is a hair, when we go to epilate it, it's a kill, so it's not going to come back. This one here is already climbing up, it's detached and already climbing up the follicle, and we can cause some damage, but it's not a sure thing that it's going to not come back because it's already making its way up. And this last hair, the telogen hair, is in the shedding stage. So this telogen hair is being pushed out by this anagen hair. So here it is, and it's pushing it out. And the reason we want to have you come back, when I ask my clients to come back at least once a month, you can come back every day if you want. But the reason is because we want to catch these hairs when they come out. We don't want to keep on working on old hairs. If you just come in like every 3 or 4 months, there's a good chance we're going to be working on things that aren't going to be successful, and it's going to be more costly for you as a consumer. So that's the reason for getting on a schedule and trying to get in here, like I say, at least once a month. The other thing to note is 50% of the hairs you have are not out at the same time. So we have 50% more hairs than you think. On the face, 80% are in the ideal stage when you first come in. 20% are not. Okay. So let me show you a little bit about the probes. So we have 6 different size probes, and we try to match up the size to the size of your follicle so that when we actually put the probe into the pore, we could try to make sure we get all of it and not just a little piece of it, because if it's too small, then it's going to come back finer. So that's how that works. Okay, so some of the things that slow us down a little bit are deformed follicles. So you can see if I go in here and I try to work on this particular hair, it's not a direct hit. You're going to have to come back numerous times for this one in order to take little pieces out as it goes. And then also, if you tend to get a lot of ingrown, some people get them on their chins or bikini area and things like that, it's good if you get a little loofah before you come and kind of try to work it out so that I don't have to try to get that out for you, because it'll just have to put my probe down and it's losing time, your treatment time. Okay, so we already talked about that. So now let's talk about how long does it take. All right, so I tell my clients for anything on the face, it would be a year to 18 months to get rid of the hair, but that's based on if I worked on that area. So if I never touched your upper lip, of course, that's not going to be included in that year and a half. I have to be able to, it has to be a treated area. So that's how that works. And then the body takes a little bit longer, like the underarms and the legs and things like that. I was told that I could remove about 430 hairs in about an hour, which is considered pretty quick. So I like doing what I do, and maybe that's why I can go a little bit faster. But that's what you can expect. So basically, an hour would be about the size of like my palm. An hour's worth of treatment. Okay, so we already talked about how long does it take. Okay, so now let's talk about why do you have hair. Okay, so you have hair genetically. That is the number one reason. So if your mom and your dad had a lot of hair, you might end up having a lot of hair. There's ethnic groups that of course have a lot more hair than other groups. So so that's number one. Number two is hormones. So if your hormones are out of whack, I usually tell my clients to please go to an endocrinologist and get checked, because That's our only drawback. We can take care of any situation, but if your hormones are going to keep on producing uh, hair follicles, there's no way that we're going to ever see the end of it. So when I suspect that somebody might have a situation like that, I do recommend that they go see an endocrinologist. The other thing that causes hair growth are medications, and these are just not ingested medications. These could be topical also. So a lot of them are steroid type, and some are antidepressants, estrogen, progesterone, even Zyrtec is on here. So find out if you're developing hair that you don't want. Ask your doctor if you can get on a different prescription, because there are other things out there that would do the same thing but not cause the hair. Another thing that causes hair is stress and friction. So the side that you sleep on will have more hair than the other side. So that's something to keep in mind. Electrolysis also has no limitations as far as skin or hair color. You can have any color skin or any color hair you want, and we can still get rid of it. This is a picture that I like to show some ladies. This really is a lady, and she decided not to do anything about her hair, and she's alive and well in New York City, and so she's just perfectly fine with that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about, or getting close to the last, is are you ready to commit? So it's not a one-time thing, unfortunately. It's something that you have to be prepared to come and do for at least a year to a year and a half. Also, I have a cancellation policy, so it's something that you sign when you come in and do the health history and fill it out. It's one of the pages there. And the reason I have this is because it's very difficult for me to fill your spot if I don't get at least 48 hours notice, because I book my clients back to back, and if I find out that you can't come, there's no way that I could contact anybody until late at night. And also, even if I contacted that person, they might not have hair out, or might have just shaved it or something. So it's very, very hard to fill your spot. So I appreciate it if you could please give me some notice. I understand that some things happen, people get sick, and all that. But if you know that you're going on vacation and you're in Hawaii, please let me know that ahead of time. Thank you. Okay, and then the last thing I want you to know is I do run a legitimate business. I have insurance. I'm totally covered. I also have an up-to-date license. I attend symposiums and to learn whatever's new and upcoming for electrolysis. And I also contract with Kaiser Permanente. I take care of their clients that are transitioning from male to female, and sometimes female to male. And when you do come in, you will get a trifold, and it will talk about things that you might have, frequently asked questions, and how to take care of yourself before and after treatment. And as an aside, does electrolysis hurt? Okay, well, I was told that laser hurts a lot more. So there is a little pain involved. It's almost like a little tiny like bite. Like it feels like a little tiny sting. And if you're a very sensitive person, I suggest that you would take maybe 2 Tylenol and 2 Advil, and drink plenty of water the day before you come. And look forward to working with you. Have a nice day, and thanks for watching.